5 things I recommend that you do not say when you go out to new construction open houses. Hi, I'm Dale.frazell and welcome to my channel. But before I jump into that, let me just give you a little bit of my background. I used to be a carpenter in my early 20s, and by the time I was 30, I was building homes. I moved to Boise back in the early 90s and built a ton of homes. Bought a lot of lots from developers and finally figured out I could be a developer, so I bought raw land and walked it through the entitlements, and then I sold those subdivisions. And I even got into self-storage. That's another story in itself, so let's move on. Number 1, you're the only builder we're considering. Well, maybe you've made up your mind at this point because you've checked out a lot of builders, maybe online, you visit their open houses. But I don't recommend you tell that, especially to the builder's rep. Reason being, they want your business. So if you're already telling them that they're the only builder, there's not a lot of incentives for that builder's rep to give you anything, to basically up the ante, if you will. So there could be concessions they're willing to give you. So you really don't want to just say, we're ready to sign on the dotted line. It's kind of like playing poker. Now, I'm not a big poker player by any means, but when the times I did play poker, I don't show anybody my hands because I want to win. So when you go in there, you're trying to get the best bang for your buck. Well, guess what that builder's rep is trying to do for that builder? He's trying to get the best. He or she, to be correct, he or she is trying to get the best deal for that builder. And usually that means the most money. So it's really important that you keep that option open and not basically hand that over to the builder's rep that you're ready to sign. You want to keep that option open, and that will definitely keep the negotiation going. So you want to convey to that builder's rep that you are still exploring different options. And I'm telling you, that will work to your advantage. Number 2, implying that you're in a rush or you're desperate. Don't want to do that either. That builder rep is there to make a sale. So if you're going to tell that builder's rep that, how hard are they going to work to get that sale? You've already basically implied that or told them. Now, let's just say you sold your house. I understand that. You could almost be in that kind of a panic mode. Trust me, you can just sit back for a minute and take a deep breath on this. If you treat it as if you really don't want that house per se at that point, that builder's rep will basically almost be doing handstands in front of you because he knows maybe you gave him a little bit of an indication that you sold your house. But if you start telling them that you're desperate, they're not going to work that hard. They know that they already have you, and I hate to use this word, have you on the hook. So you just kind of a cavalier with them, and you're looking around. You know what your urgency is. Keep it to yourself. Let that builder rep basically give you as much as he possibly, or he or she again, that can give you to make that deal come together. Let them work for it. So let me elaborate on that a little bit. Now, if you are in a desperate situation or you are in a hurry, maybe you're not doing this right and you're going at it like a bull in a china shop. I'm going to use an example here of car dealerships, new cars, for example. So you've already done your homework. You know what kind of car you want. You know what color that you want. You know what kind of interior you want. You know everything because you've been online checking those cars out. You go over to that new car dealership and you walk in and there's that friendly salesperson. Well, if you go in there and you tell that, and again, if you're in a desperate situation and you've got to have that particular car, well, you've made that salesperson's job so much easier. He's just going to have you sign on the dotted line. Even if you know what that car is and you just can't wait to drive it, just kind of be cavalier with that salesperson and you will see. And if you don't believe me, go out to a car salesman, right, or a new car dealership, even if you're not buying anything, and just test the waters. Just see how they're going to, because they have a trained response on how to do everything. So you go in there, you don't say very much, you know what car you want, but you let him do, or again, her, give you all the perks and basically what they're willing to do. Okay, well, let's go back to the new homes. Builders, their product are, what they are, I should say, are new homes. So you walk into that open house and that builder's rep is there and you're keeping your cards, or you're very tight-lipped about everything that you're doing, you will see that builder's rep offering different things that that builder is willing to do to make that sale. And I can tell you this as a former builder, there's a lot of ego that's involved in building homes. I don't know if it's a guy thing or what have you. That builder doesn't want the builder down the street getting that sale. He doesn't want it. He or she, again, and I'm sorry if, I have to keep correcting myself here, but let's just say the builder. So they want that sale. Matter of pride, matter of ego. So the more you can keep everything to yourself, the harder that salesperson is going to work to get your business, because ultimately he wants the sale because it's going to benefit him and he's going to look real good in front of the builder that he's got another sale. Number 3, what you are pre-approved for to that builder's rep. I can't tell you in my own personal experience how many buyers, when I was selling new construction as a realtor, people would come in there and tell me how much they've been approved for from the lender. That's great. Wonderful for our ego, everything that goes with that whole pre-approval process. However, you just hurt yourself, and I will explain that. So I'm sitting there in that open house, you walk in and you tell me you're good for $550 because you've been pre-approved from the lender. Great. Well, I know what you're qualified for at this point because you just told me that. So now you're out, you're looking at that house, but the realtor's not there. But you go back to your realtor and you tell them you want to make an offer on that property, but you don't want to pay that price. Let's say at $550. You come back and you make an offer and let's say it's under $550. Well, I already know who you are. You already told me confidential information. So why would I go to that builder and beat up on that builder if I already know that you're good for $550? I'm going to put my head on the chopping block for that builder to take money out of his pocket when you already been pre-approved for that? It doesn't work together. So what I tell people is just keep that confidential information to yourself. Now, another thing too on new construction, there's 2 types of new construction, and I don't really mean types, but you can either go from the ground up or buy a spec home, a speculation home. So let's just use the ground up scenario here. So you're pre-approved for $550. Well, the base price on that particular home might be $500,000. So $500,000 is your starting point, but you want to add extras, whether it be in the design center or whatever upgrades that builder offers. You got to be real careful there because builders make money on upgrades and extras. It can well exceed $550. So you start out at $500 and you build up to $550 because ultimately $550 is what you're pre-approved from. It's the mortgage that goes along with that $550, and that's what you're comfortable with. So you start out at $500, you get to $550, you cut it off. Now, let's go into one of their new homes, a speculation home. So that house is, let's say it's $550. Well, you already told me what you're qualified for at $550. Again, I'm not racing over to that builder to beat him up. Now, builders have different motivations. They might take less, if you will, but please do not be telling me or any agent out there what you're pre-approved from right from the get-go. I like to pause for a moment to let you know that I don't work for builders. I sell their homes. I work for buyers. I work with buyers through the entire process from start to finish. Let's continue. Number 4, I don't like to negotiate. I don't know, there's a lot of people out there who don't like to negotiate. However, when the sales prices of new homes are where they're at today, there is room for negotiating. Now, if you don't want to negotiate with that agent, because that's one of the reasons you do have your own agents, and that's what you pay them for, to look out for your best interests. Let them debate, negotiate, whatever you want to do on whatever you're trying to accomplish on purchasing that house. You don't have to be in the crosshairs of that. You tell your agent what you're willing to do. Now, that agent over here should have all the comps to what that house has sold for previously. Again, we're talking about new construction here, and a lot of times those builders build that house over and over and over. You can actually do the comps and see where they've sold that house previously, or even better yet, what kind of concessions or incentives they've given. So don't tell an agent that you don't want to negotiate. Even if you don't have an agent, don't tell that builder's rep there, I'm sorry, if you're going to be dealing with the builder's rep, you kind of have to get a little bit more of a backbone when you're going to be dealing with this. Or if you're happy to just pay full price and leave everything else on the table, I wouldn't recommend it. Number 5, you're flexible on time and you're not in a hurry. Now, this actually kind of contradicts what I said earlier, and I think that might have been number 2. However, if you tell the builder's rep, which then he goes back to the builder and tells them that you're really not in a big hurry, you're probably going to be put on the back burner. There's really no reason to say that. You want that builder to get on a schedule and to stay on the schedule. But again, if they don't think there's any pressure, no one's breathing down their throat, you might then just be, again, they're not pressed to make you happy at this point, because you're really not. And I've had people say that, oh, we're not really in a big hurry. Guess what? When that house is being built, you are in a hurry, because you'll see it one day, it's going like gangbusters, and then maybe a week, maybe even 2, nothing's happening. That will start to drive you a little batty after a while. So then all of a sudden, now you are in a hurry because you're seeing it move, you stop, it'll make you crazy. So just don't say that to anyone, that you're not in a hurry. Now, I understand that you're probably going, well, you don't want to rush anyone because you don't want the quality to go down there. That builder knows what he needs to do, but I don't really recommend you saying to anybody that you're not in a hurry. You want the house built, you want it built right, and you want to be able to move in there without adding additional aggravation to the whole process. And I'll just close here by saying, probably if you wrote these down, these 5 tips, it'd help you out an awful lot, especially when you're out looking at new construction. I will add though, remember this, you're out buying one house. That agent, that builder's rep, you're not the only home he's selling. He sells a ton of new construction. They know the whole process, and I'm going to just say the game. So you're going out, you're buying your one home. I would use those as little tips. So when you go out there, you can kind of refresh your memory. Just get on board with it, and it will save you a ton of money. It'll save you a lot of aggravation, and it'll make this process a lot smoother. Well, I hope you learned something new today, and if you did, please subscribe. And if you like even more information, go to my website at dale.frazell.com. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next one.